Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to FPL Don't Panic. First draft for a bit of fun. I suspect my team, when the game actually launches, or when the Premier League actually launches, will look a lot different from this. But I thought it was just a good opportunity now that we've got the prices, and there's a tool called FPL Team that allows you to have a little play with some drafts with some projected prices. They're usually fairly accurate. Not too sure about some of these though, in all honesty. But I thought it just worth a little look. Some early thoughts. Gave me an opportunity, and I'll go through the spreadsheet in a second, just to start to develop this year's spreadsheet and the model that I'll be working to. In the meantime, enough waffle, Des. Let's just have a little look. Some of these might be lock-ins. Some of these might well be lock-ins. You can see the team there. I'm actually going to work off the spreadsheet. I just put that up there. FPL team. It's really worth a look. It doesn't cost anything. Just put in your FPL ID, and you can have a bit of fun time playing with some drafts. But bearing in mind, projected pricing, not necessarily the actual pricing. So it's going to knock this one out of the way. And we'll get this up here. Make this as large as I can for you guys. Making me a little bit smaller. So we can get that as clear as we can for everyone. Okay, hopefully you can see that. I'm just going to go to the My Master. He said, where's it gone? Right, there it is. Okay. A lot of you, and I suspect we're only going to have the probably engaged managers, so probably just subscribers looking at this at the moment. So you're probably going to be reasonably familiar with my spreadsheet. Obviously a little bit different at the moment. Normally where I've got the fixtures there for 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, I have the actual points that they scored, which helps me to get the average. That helps me then to sort of see what this as a team has generally averaged each time it's gone out. Excluding captaincy, I always leave captaincy out. And then what I tend to do is take the medians, basically all of the game weeks, what they scored in the game weeks, and I'll either take the median or the average as what I predict this team would score in the next game week. Green fixtures, obviously where I think there's actually a decent chance of return. Blue, moderate chance of return. Red looks pretty tough. That speaks for itself. And then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 going out beyond that. Obviously, just to look at the fixtures that are coming up. And then right at the bottom there, at the moment, the watch list is basically the fixtures for all teams. That would normally be players that are on my watch list. And I can see, one, how they're performing. And two, when they might have a little run of fixtures that might nicely slot into where one of my players maybe is out of form, not hitting the averages, and if they or if they've just got a really tough run of fixtures coming up, and I can see someone with a nice chunk of green, think, oh, that's going to be worthwhile. Let's plan to get them in, plan to move them in if their sort of form justifies it. That's a very quick overview. I'll go through more detail, and then I've got some general rules that I do follow, and I'll talk a little bit to those as I go through this. Right, Pickford. Why Pickford? He averaged this. So the averages I'm working at the moment is their overall season average at the moment. So I think Pickford might, depending on money, depending on pricing. At the moment, I've got two goalkeepers in there. I've got Henderson and Pickford. Like to achieve a 4-point-ish average off a goalkeeper on a weekly basis. Pickford has been consistently achieving that the last couple of seasons. Pricing expected to be around 5 million, and 4.16 average. If you're getting that as an average on a weekly basis, it's actually not bad for a keeper. And we don't know that Pickford is capable of some good hauls as well, and also that Everton are capable of some decent clean sheet opportunities as well. So I've got Henderson in there as well. It could be, depending on when we get the final pricing and what budget I'm trying to work with and who I'm trying to squeeze in, could be that I just go with Henderson and go for a 4 million potentially non-playing keeper initially. But at the moment, based on this sort of pricing, this projected pricing, yeah, we can sort of play with this at the moment. And Henderson did have some decent runs of form last year, and the Palace defence, when it gets going, it's not too bad. So we'll see. So yeah, Pickford though, I'd say he's about a 70%. That I'd probably bring him in. And the question then is, do I just have a 4 million keeper? We'll see how that one plays out. Everton, decent run of fixtures to start out with. So I don't mind the little double up on the Everton defence. We have seen that they are capable of keeping a lot of clean sheets in a row. There's likely to be at the moment, FPL team has Mikalenko at 4.5. There'll be a 4.5 reasonably decent Everton defender. So, Mikalenko, Tarkowski, Branthwaite will probably be 5, I would imagine. We'll see. But I think doubling up on the Everton defence worthwhile. So Mikalenko may not be the lock-in, but I can definitely see myself having a double up on the Everton defence. Cucurella. Not 100% by Cucurella, but he did have a good season, didn't he? And not so much first half, second half particularly. If I took his second half averages, there would be a lot more than what's showing there at the just over the 3.5. I would like to go 8 Nori, but 8, and we'll see what price 8 Nori comes in at. I would like 8 Nori for that attacking threat, but one, what price is he going to be? Could be 6 million. 2, is he locked in? Just, I've got no City in there at the moment. It feels, given that City have some decent fixtures in there, it feels a little bit remiss. But Pep Roulette, yeah, we've all been hit with it in the past, and I'm sure we'll all get hit with it again in the future. But just in that opening few game weeks, I think what we want to try and achieve are locked in 100% starters, and I think Cucurella at the moment certainly would be that. 8 Nori. Oh no, I think we just need to keep an eye on the pre-season games, and what's the potential, I guess, for players getting a bit of rotation, obviously after the Club World Cup. So it just feels a little bit risky, I would say. Frimpong, currently my most expensive defender based on the FPL team pricing. I like Frimpong. I do like Frimpong. He is fast. He can go past players. Got a wicked cross on him, and he pops up in the box for goals. I really would like to have Frimpong in my starting 11 as the season kicks off. A couple of tough fixtures there for Liverpool, Newcastle away, Arsenal home, but then Bournemouth away, Everton home, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, some reasonable fixtures in there. I'm going to say Frimpong's nearly a lock-in for me if we can see that he's got that right wing-back type role locked down. Liverpool for me, best team in transition. Don't even mind them having a couple of tough fixtures, because it is in those tough fixtures that they will be able to go into transition, rather when they've got teams obviously locked down in their own box. Frimpong, I'd say, is another 70 or 80% for me. Hoping he comes in a little bit cheaper than 6, but we'll see. Gonzala, not 100% convinced just yet, but he does tend to, certainly the last 2 seasons, he has tended to start the season strongly, but it's like he runs out of a bit of steam at the end. So I think I am going to start with Salah. Good opening fixture. And also there is a thing that needs to be considered later in the season, the Africa's Cup, where he's going to probably miss 4 or 5 fixtures, going to be away for a while. And if you remember, in 23-24, when he came back from the Africa's Cup, he came back a different player. He just wasn't firing. Not dissimilar to that he wasn't firing at the end of this season. Has he got the legs these days to actually see out a full hard slog of a season and Champions League football in there and everything? And he plays 90 minutes most matches. We'll start with him. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, he's got that 9.15 average. That excludes captaincy, of course. So he would be the captain based on my spreadsheet rules. If this was the team that I went out with, he would clearly be the captain, because a general rule, which I haven't always followed, but I'm going to try and stick to it this year, is captain the player with the highest average, with a little bit of an allowance, obviously based around fixtures. It's got to be a bit of room for manoeuvre there, based around fixtures, because obviously if I've got, Saka at home to Burnley, and he's got an average of 7, and Salah's away to Arsenal, and he might have an average of 10. Clearly, you're going to captain Saka at home to Burnley. But in general, captain the player with the highest average is a rule I'm going to try and stick to. Bowen was just fantastic for me last year. I would say Bowen is probably a lock-in even at this stage. Fixtures, average, I'd say a couple of decent ones in there. They're not great, But West Ham's fixtures weren't great at the running last year. When he came back from injury, I brought him in early. It's just almost a rule of football. West Ham score, Bowen's involved. Will West Ham score some goals in those opening 5 fixtures? Yes, they will. They could score anything from 3 to 5. There's a decent chance Bowen will be involved in all of them. And in some of the easier fixtures, I mean, it's a very reasonable opening fixture. You never know; there could be a little hole in there. I mean, he'd go in if I go against the spreadsheet rules. Bowen's not a bad captaincy option. Johnson, is this controversial? Here is my theory around it for what it is worth. I think Johnson's a player that is going to suit Thomas Frank. He likes his aggressive wingers, and Johnson is an aggressive winger. Johnson has talent. I think he'll find his place is locked in under Thomas Frank. He likes those kind of players. He does. He really does. We saw that, with Brentford. So I think Johnson's going to have really good game time. He is a goal threat. And if he does come in at that 6.5, I think he could be a pretty decent early season purchase. City away, okay, tough one, but swallow that. And the fixtures are not that awful after that. Bournemouth home, Villa away tough. Brighton away, no, they're okay. Depends, Thomas Frank will have an attacking team there in Spurs. Maybe hopefully a little bit tighter at the back. I'm not going to say Johnson's a lock-in at this stage, but certainly with that opening fixture, good opening fixture, and we want to get off to a strong start, don't we? Saka is absolutely not a lock-in. Wrestled with having him in here. There is a chance that I might take Saka out and start with Wirtz, and maybe bring Saka in the second game for Leeds at home, just depending on how he shows against Man United. Just not sure on that at the moment. Absolutely not a lock in by any manner or means. People have this impression that Saka holds a lot. He really doesn't. He's a steady Eddie 7-8 points sort of guy, and he'll occasionally get you that bit of a haul. But it's not regular, and he certainly didn't set any fires when he came back from his injury. I appreciate he was coming back from an injury, but he really didn't set any fires. So for me, I'd say he's very 50-50. I'd say it's 50-50. I think Wirtz might actually just go in there for that opening fixture, and I'll take my chances with that. And I'll just take my chances with that Liverpool triple up for a pretty decent fixture, and then we'll see how that shapes up. Obviously, I need to see that Wirtz is starting regularly pre-season. Right, this is all a bit controversial. This is where I don't really know about this. I'd have liked to have got Isak and Watkins in, based on the team I've done, because I've tried to go for a playing solid bench, which I'll talk about shortly. Gone with Isak for now. Rumours that Liverpool are about to put in a massive bid for him. That changes the game. Goes to Liverpool. I'll definitely have him. With the likes of Wirtz playing in behind him, and Salah feeding him, could be mega. I think 9 seems a bit cheap for him, so I'm not too sure about the FPL team pricing on that one. We'll see. Feels a little cheap for me, but obviously his averages are not bad. Just on that, the averages I like to see 4 to 5ish as an average out of my goalkeeper and defenders, but particularly the defence, and hopefully with a bit of rotation, whenever I can hit that, because you won't get too many defenders will average 5 over the season, but if you're bringing them in at the right time, on the right fixtures, hopefully you can sort of start to achieve that. Midfielders like to try and get them towards a 6, and again, it's obviously bring them in when they're in form, hopefully catch their purple patch, and move them out when they go off the boil. And going off the boil for me is I like to see ideally 3 returns in 5 matches. 2's acceptable if there's some decent fixtures coming up, and they might find form through fixtures. Once they hit 1 return in 5, and this is I didn't stick to it last year, and it cost me dearly with the likes of Palmer and Haaland for a while. Get them out. Just be ruthless. Just follow the process. Get them out and bring in someone from the watch list that is hitting the right averages and got the right sort of form going. Right, lost my trail of thought there. So yeah, Isak. Now, okay, so Isak. Yeah, I'd still say 50-50 at the moment. I think we'll just sort of see, because there's a lot of transfer activity going on. I think there's going to be a splurge of activity around strikers and things like that. But at the moment, the supporting duo is Delap and Beto. Delap, we don't know if he's set in concrete. Watched his little cameo in the Club World Cup. Yeah, I think Delap's a really good player. 12 goals, for an Ipswich Town team that didn't create a whole hell of a lot. He pretty much created all his own opportunities last year and managed, 12 goals for a pretty bang average type team. I think he could do well if he starts. Is he going to put Jackson? I think he's a better finisher than Jackson. One to keep an eye on. I'd say he's in there at the moment. There are other options, of course, in that sort of price range with your Wizards, etc. So we'll just see. Obviously, we need the pricing, and we obviously need to see what happens in the transfer market. And Beto, it's pretty much a fixture play, really. Couple of decent fixtures there. I think I would expect Everton to beat Leeds, Brighton not too bad, Wolves not too bad, Villa not too bad. But I've got some good rotations, and it could be that I just move them out quickly even after the Leeds or the Brighton matches. And bring in someone else with a couple of transfers. We'll see how that develops, because again, one of my strategies is in the first 10 game weeks, build team value. I will move players out quickly. I will not wait for deadlines. There's no European football. So taking that gamble, if players look like he's dropping, get him out and bring someone else in that's on the rise, and just build up that squad value, because it really makes a difference. Then certainly once you get past game week 10 and you're wild carding and you're looking to really build a stronger team, and do a complete clean out. And it's around that time. So the spreadsheet itself works really. I've got to starts to work a little bit after the first 5 game weeks, when I've actually got five game weeks of data. But when it sort of starts to come into its own is when we get to that game week 10. So my main objective in those first 10 game weeks is stay in touch, try and work the averages as best I can. But it's data. Data is gold. And 5 game weeks good, because I've got 5 game weeks of data. But it's when we sort of get to that 7, 8, 9, 10, then when I wild card, then it sort of really starts to come into its own. And especially with how the team's performing on a week by week basis, is it hitting the averages to hit what I aim for? That's 70 points per week, and then adjust it on an ongoing basis to try and achieve that. So waffle again. Bench Henderson. Burn, I think we'll have a 4.5 million defender again at Newcastle. Some reasonable fixtures in there for some rotations in for some of the tougher fixtures. Whether that's defensive fixtures don't actually look that bad, but certainly Mikolenko and potentially Cucurella, depending on how United are performing, might need to be rotated out for Nico Williams and Burn, who've got some decent fixtures on the back end of that 5. And Sade, is that controversial? I don't think so. And where am I going? Someone's going to step up at Brentford. Sade, I think, could be that man. He is also a flat track bully, Sade. Look back on his data from last year. He loves it against the likes of the Sunderlands, etc. So it's a really nice rotation maybe there to come in game week 3. So I'm like talking this team up. I bet it looks nothing like this when we actually get to game week 1 for real. But it was fun putting this together. So the prediction for this team as it stands would be 54.45 points, and that excludes captaincy. So what you hope is that they hit those averages and I get my captaincy right, and we get somewhere close to that sort of 70 points, which is the ultimate aim. I could get those averages up, but I've clearly gone there for some of the teams with decent fixtures, because there has to be some common sense in this as well. I probably could get, some players in there, Gabriel, but who'll have probably have an average probably of about 5, I think, as a defender across the season. And a few others, so I could certainly boost those averages. But there are teams with like tough, some pretty tough fixtures. That would be 50, 55. 10 points out of a captain, get towards that 65, 70 for game week 1, and then we start to get a lie of the land. be too unhappy with that. The main thing I think in those first game weeks is just try and get as close to that 70 as you can. 70 points average across the season will see you well inside the top 5,000. Say last year, my average using this methodology but not following the rules. And if I had actually followed my own rules, I think I would have finished quite a bit higher. But I still actually hit 67.5 points and 50,000 finish. So not too bad, but I'll certainly be aiming a lot higher this year, he said, hopefully. That's it. First draft. What do you think? For any of my regular subscribers, if you actually think this is a useful tool for you guys, just pop me a message. I'm happy to send you the template, and you can throw your own sort of drafts in there and sort of see how it stacks up. But that's me for now. I'm not going to do too many of these. There's just not a lot of point before we actually get the real pricing, because I imagine not going to be too far out, but not 100% convinced by some of these prices. And until we get the real pricing, as I said, could be doing one of these every bloody day, and it's virtually meaningless. So we'll just have this one now for now, just so I've got my model built. Then we'll get the real pricing. I guess in 3 or 4 weeks' time, isn't it? And we can start to get into it for real. In the meantime, have fun, play your own game. No need to panic yet. We'll plenty of time for that very soon. And I'll hopefully be back very, very soon if there's any more interesting moves in the transfer market, and do a bit of player analysis and that sort of thing. Yeah, take care. I will see you soon. Bye bye.